I'd like to call to order the Vallecitos Water Board's meeting for February 18th, 2015. And if you would, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Director Martin.
Oh, I would love to. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Okay, we need to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting.
Move to approve.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and approved to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, off we go. And first thing on the agenda is we have an introduction by Bridget Anderson of a new employee.
Make sure he follows me up here. I'd like to introduce Terry Moritz. He joined us on February 9th in the position of Systems Collections Worker 1, which was vacant due to a resignation last year. Terry comes to us from the city of Escondido, where he worked for 18 months. He is married to Samantha, and they have one son named Mickey. And in his free time, he enjoys baseball, golf, and spending time with his wife and son. And this is
Welcome
Terry.
aboard.
Welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
See,
Nice to have someone else from Escondido.
has
join our
Escondido
team.
got anybody left?
I'm working on
Is there
it.
anyone there? Yeah.
I'm working
Madam
on
Chair,
it.
Yes.
If I would, I believe that he's also born and raised San Marconian, as is his wife, and now is their child. And I was fortunate enough to be the photographer at their wedding. And I only realized it when I sat down and read
Did you
his
get a
name here.
refund?
That it was him.
You saw him say that there?
And as a matter of fact, Vista stole him from the city of San Marcos, where he used to work at the city of San Marcos.
Oh.
Oh, welcome.
He's making the
Welcome
rounds.
aboard.
Now you're with the A-team. Welcome aboard.
That's right, that's right, you made it to the top.
I take it Mickey's very young?
10 minutes.
10 months. Oh, fun. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Thanks for adding that.
I didn't know, I sat down, I saw the name, I went,
That's so
I know him.
nice.
and he walked in, I went,
That was great. Okay, and now we'll have a presentation. We get to give a certificate
If
to
you'd
Kevin
please,
Ansel.
if you'd please come down to the lectern chair.
Sure.
Kevin, come on up. Kevin joined the district in May of 2004 as a Systems Construction Worker 1. In 2006, he was upgraded to a Worker 2, and then just 1 month later to actually an equipment operator, which is like a lead or senior position. In January, Kevin has earned his Water Distribution Grade 4, issued by the State of California Water Resources Controller.
What's the next step?
That's it?
Keep going. But he worked in the attic once to get up on it.
Hey, Jeff.
I want to say thank you to all of you who are here to support him. I know you're going to leave us, so. Okay,
quickly.
that's hard.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
If there was food, they'd stay.
Oh, well, we at least have Jerome here for a new face.
He stayed.
He's staying for a wee bit, I take it. Okay, next we have oral communications. Do I have any? No. All right. This consent calendar is, I need a motion and a need for approval.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Moving right along, our next item is such an exciting thing, the drought update.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Probably the most exciting news, or at least something that we know finally, is the Metropolitan Water District Board is going to be meeting in probably April, not until April, when they'll decide what their allocation might be. And it wouldn't be effective until July 1. So at least we know some dates certain on that. If it trickles down to the member agencies of San Diego County Water Authority as less than 20% of an allocation to our district, then it's still level 2. But when we have an allocation, that means our drought rates kick in. So that's our ordinance, and that's automatic. It's already been 218'd on that allocation. If the allocation is, or the reduction is more than 20%, then that would be a level 3. And so that would be significant. So we have some time to at least plan for that, and we'll keep you updated as the Met Board meets and see what happens there. For the drought, rest of the drought update, just going through the regular slides. This one we're showing now 3 years because we completed 2014, but we're still going to show you 2013 each month of what the total production was. And for us, production just means what we buy from the Water Authority. So January was down 37% from January 2014, and about 5% from January 2013. So that was a big reduction there. But the anomaly was probably, if you can see the big bump up on a blue bar in January, the anomaly was 2014. So we'll keep you posted as we go there. Hey, Diane. Sorry. And then for this production, looking at total production for a whole year instead of month by month, we're still going to freeze 2013. So the bar on the left you'll always see is 2013 for comparison purposes. The bar on the right is going to be the most recently completed 12-month period. So we're comparing 12 months to 12 months, so we see a nice drop there as well. About a 4% drop. And then on the next one is the gallons per capita per day. And this is the gallons per capita per day. Gallons per capita per day is based on the calculations for the 20 by 2020 rule. So we're already below the 20 by 20 target, and we've actually decreased a little bit compared to 2013, so that's good. And then this is my favorite one because it actually it takes out the seasonality. It's a 12-month rolling average, so none of this is from seasons. And also, it's looking at consumption rather than production for our base meters per month, the average per month. And ever since July or June, it's gone down a little bit. Still not quite below the 2013 average, but we're working on that. So, but good numbers there for reduction. And we still keep track of calls, even though they've dwindled down a little bit. We still have people calling in to report waste, which we act upon as well. So we'll keep this graph going so you can see what this trend is. And then again, the fiscal impact. Yes, we're asking people to conserve, and yes, they are. So our water sales are down. They're about 2.5 million less than what we've budgeted through this time of year. But that's mitigated by most of our water sales as a pass-through of wholesale costs. So when our water sales are down, our water costs are down as well. So they're down by about 2.3 million. And then we have other favorable variances in our water division. So that netted out to a favorable, about $700,000 favorable variance on a bottom line. So what does that mean for what's available in our water fund available reserves? About 9.9 million. We anticipate that after all the carve-outs, after you carve out the operating reserve and the replacement floor and the deficiency in the capital facility fee funds, by the end of the year, though, it will probably be actually a bit less than the 8.6 million because we have our debt service payment right at year end we transfer for, and it's probably 2.7 million now, 2.8 million. And so that comes out of the, that will increase the deficit in the capital facility fund and take away from that a little bit. So, but that's our reserves. So that's the fiscal impact, and that's all I had for you, unless you have any questions.
I have a question, if any other members? No? I just wondered, I know we had that one commercial account that we were enforcing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that shown any progress? I know we
You
fined
know,
them, or,
I
well, no,
hate
the
to
fine
say
was
it,
pretty
but-
minimal, but.
Just this morning, I saw the sprinklers on in runoff.
So
They
that's
did
not-
respond.
They did
Uh,
respond.
They did
Yeah.
respond finally. Their problem was not necessarily just the runoff. They had a break somewhere on site. And they just
Oh.
weren't doing anything to find the break. They did find the break, so the runoff was stopped. And then they were just working with them of, they kind of had the habit of checking their sprinklers during the day and letting them run for a long period of time, which was not necessarily checking, it's the way they were irrigating. So we have talked to them, that it has.
And they are working on it.
Yeah.
They didn't go for an audit or any,
There
like
had-
that we offer?
No. No. They were provided all the options and they have finally taken care of it.
Thank you. Director Martin?
I'm sorry, maybe I missed the meeting or the memo. Who are we talking about?
The apartment complex is other side of the hill, Knoll Road.
Oh, okay.
That goes both
I
sides.
remember it now. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I had one other. If we were to go to a level 3 in April, what does that do? I mean, it's dramatic, but what does that do then to our reserves?
That wouldn't be till July.
It wouldn't affect until July, so it'd be
Yeah.
into the new year.
Yeah, and it's, the way the rate structure is set up is, it should be neutral, revenue neutral, because the tier premiums go up so much. And if it isn't, if we have a lot of conservation beyond what we've anticipated, that's what that 9.9 million is for in the reserve. So it may have a fiscal impact.
Thank you. And Director Hernandez?
If the allocation from MW Metropolitan comes in greater than 20%,
Yeah.
then we go to level 3, greater or less? I can't,
If the cutback
If the
is
cutback is
more
greater
than
than
20%, that's level 3.
that goes to level 3 directly from Metropolitan?
No.
Or is that's from the state
No.
to Metropolitan?
What
then?
happens is Metropolitan has a supply, and then they have an allocation to their member agencies. Now, Metropolitan's might be 30%, but then when Water Authority factors in their other sources of water, could be less than 20%. So we don't know until it gets to the Water Authority, and then one more level, there's other member agencies that have local sources. So the San Diego County Water Authority might say 15%, but we don't have local sources, so ours might be 18%. And that's what happened last time. The actual cutback was 8%, but ours was 10 because we didn't have local source water.
Is there any opportunity or that the state could just impose level 3 and forget how much,
Yeah.
they just do it?
Yeah, you may recall last time I gave a report, the state that it's now under, Division of Drinking Water, they're an enforcement regulatory agency. They're not along the lines of what it used to be, which is water supply and control. They implemented the curtailment rule in less than 2 weeks last time, when they went to mandatory. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they submitted a list of items to the state on behalf of the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, such as all the environmental groups and everything else. The Water Authority did respond to that, and I think Director Evans will probably get a report on what they did on the 26th, and she can bring that back. But they were actually suggesting that we get down to 55 gallons per day per person. As you can see from what we have right here, we're at 140. But very draconian, they were coming up with all kinds of things, how we should have a process to find on-site leaks within 24 hours, mandate that they be fixed. These rules that were just great if we hired 6,000 people. We did respond as a group, and then the Water Authority will be responding as well. So far, the governor is not pushing that strongly, but again, everybody is sitting back waiting for the end of March, see what happens in March. And as Tom indicated, if it's 20% or less, but right now the Water Metropolitan is assuming they're going to get a 40 to 50% allocation on the state water project. It's only at 10%, and there has been no rain. The Pineapple Express, I went up north over the weekend through some of my old stomping grounds up there, and the reservoirs up there are the lowest I've ever seen.
You didn't break back
It
any
didn't
pineapples.
bring any water into a lot of Northern California, and what it did bring did not bring any snow.
Yeah.
So that's the trick. It's just, there's no snow, so we'll see.
All right.
Well, thank you for that very informative report. And the next item, 2.3, is regarding surplus personal property.
2.2.
Oh, 2.2, I'm just moving quickly, sorry.
I'll have Ken address the board in a few minutes.
Oh, And Verdes, what a surprise.
Oh,
You could have
God.
skipped right by it. That's
Yeah.
And Rob had a little girl.
This is probably why I
Oh,
was
did he?
reading
Yeah.
it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he hasn't
Yes.
been back in. That's why he wasn't here at the workshop. He was in the maternity ward.
Have a little baby boy.
Boy, I'm sorry, little baby boy.
Baby boy.
Sorry,
I've a
had to be
boy,
one of the two.
And Ed and James are out in Austin, Texas. Having fun.
Not having
That's all
children.
I have, yeah. Thank you. Madam Chair, Board of Directors, this is a request for a temporary off-site water service agreement for Block C LLC. This is property north of Barham, north of the campus, north of the quad. It's out in the middle of Riddell a little bit. And they're proposing to have a parking structure built on one of their lots, which is currently landlocked. It's not on a public street. And so they need to have a irrigation meter and a fire service. The irrigation meter is for some of the landscaping that the city's requiring in the drainage area behind or to the east of the Lot 4. Right now, we have water meters on the south side and the west side, but nothing on the east or north at this time. So it's temporary per ordinance number 118, which is a temporary off-site service. We can approve it. We can prove that, which for those properties that don't abut. They do have easements through Lot 3, which is the white highlighted, to get to Lot 4. In the future, we expect there's going to be services, public streets on the east and north side. So at that time, they'll switch it over to those water meters or water mains. If there isn't any in the future, then we'll probably go for a permanent offsite and come back and request a permanent offsite. And again, this is for a water irrigation meter and fire service.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, I motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion, I need a second.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the temporary off-site service agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Next one, now we'll go to 2.3, surplus personal property listing. And it's let's go.
Madam Chair, members, forgive me, I'm still getting over my flu from a couple weeks ago. What you have before you is pursuant to Resolution 1312, the surplus property resolution. Staff accumulates property that served its useful life here at the district. And in the resolution, any property that's identified to have an estimated value of $1,000 needs to come before you for approval prior to the district putting it on the public surplus website, where it'll be bid on and then sold to the highest bidder. On that website, we do have the ability to put a reserve amount on there. We estimate this to be about $12,000 fair market value based on what we've seen other generators sell for. So what we'll probably do is put a reserve, I don't want to say how much on camera, on the item and make sure that we achieve at least that amount. So staff is recommending approval for this item to go on the surplus property website.
Are there any questions? Yes, Director Martin.
I have one question. I should have asked this a while ago, years ago. The estimated value that you've come up with is 12,000, or whoever, department head, comes up with the number? Do you get the number from a department head, or where do you get the number?
We look at similar items that are for sale in similar places, other public auction sites or eBay or.
And then when it actually does sell, we don't find out, we as a board don't find out how much it actually sold for.
We don't come back and report, no, but we do keep records of all that.
Oh, I know, I'm sure you do. No, I was just another step. I just want to see how close you guys are to actually figuring out the value of things.
Sometimes we're surprised.
Curiosity.
Yeah, sometimes we're surprised. Sometimes we get more and sometimes it comes in a lot less and we just hold on to it and try again later.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a motion to approve?
to approve.
Thank you. And
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to move and second to approve an item to be made available for disposal through public auction. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
I forgot to ask if any of us wanted to buy a Genovese. No?
Yeah.
You'd have to go
Okay,
through the
keep that in
website.
mind.
Jim needs one.
For Christmas. Okay, item 2.4, emergency preparedness. I believe you will be doing
Yeah,
this.
come on up, Jerome, I'll lead into this. A couple of you, and we're gonna have to start this series again because we've got a new board. About 2 years ago, as the new board came on, we started bringing each department through on a monthly basis. So you saw meter one time, finance one time, construction, engineering, ops, we went through the whole thing. Got through, and part of it was Jerome is our risk management and safety supervisor. And so he handles all the aspects of safety, risk management, and all the things that go along with it. I think it was Monterey Aqua Conference, end of last year, I think,
With
and we were
Lucy.
having lunch when we saw some of the presentations on emergency preparedness. And I think the question was asked to me at lunch, on a scale of 1 to 10, where did I think we were? And I said easily a 9. And I think everybody else said maybe 4 or 5. Jerome is the only one that really hasn't come up and walked you through the whole thing, but we got a real good test of what he set up and the ability that the staff does have during the fires. You got a lot of feedback on that. So what I asked Jerome to do today is not get into the nitty-gritty, because each level drills down like you can imagine, but just to tell you all the things that he and his staff, the preparedness that we do have in the district, just in general terms. Feel free to throw anything at him. He's responsible for all of it. And I'll just turn it over to Jerome.
And Jerome, I do have one real quick question.
Sure.
How many, not who, but how many is your staff?
It's just 2,
Two.
Corey and Annette.
Oh, you're working hard.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like Dennis said, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Like Dennis said, I am the district's risk management supervisors. This is one of my responsibility is coordinating the district's emergency preparedness. So we'll just go ahead and get started. This first slide is just basically emergency management organizations that we will coordinate with for emergency preparedness and times of emergencies. The first locals, because we provide services in these 4 cities, the city of San Marcos, Escondido, Carlsbad, Vista, we coordinate with those people. As the events get larger or whatever, we may be required to coordinate with the San Diego County Office of Emergency Services. At the state level, it's the California, oops, there's a typo here. It should be California Governor's Office of Emergency Service, Cal OES. And then at the federal level, it's with Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Member organizations we are members of, CalWARN, it's the California Water Agency Response Network. It's a mutual network for mutual support, all the water agencies, whether public or private water agencies and wastewater agencies. The Water Agency Emergency Coordinators Collaborative, it's basically comprised of all the water agencies in San Diego County, and we meet quarterly to go over emergency preparedness. And then, of course, the San Diego County Water Authority. This slide is just a basic emergency management organizational structure that I wanted to bring to your attention. At the local level, the water agencies, like for instance, main breaks and stuff like that, they can handle within the sites. If it gets larger, if it's regionally, water regionally in San Diego County, then the County Water Authority would be the person who would oversee the response. And as it gets larger, then it go to the San Diego County Office of Emergency Service. And then in the southern region of California, it's the California, or Cal OES Southern Region, which is in Los Alamitos, California. And then the Cal OES in Sacramento, and then Region 9, which is also in Sacramento. And then also sewer agencies, cities, hospitals, and all that. If it's a county-wide emergency, they will report directly to the San Diego County Office of Emergency Service.
Jerome, if there were a break, let's say, in the lines out where I live, I'm in the county, is our Twin Oaks tanks in the county? Do we handle those as a region or because they're in our district?
They're water.
Are they county?
They're a water break we can handle within just our district. I mean,
We do, and that, so you don't go to county unless it's,
No, unless, it, you know.
but if it was like the big pipeline, 3 or 4 coming down from Met, then that becomes,
That
the
would be
county.
the county water authorities, and if they need assistance from us, they'll ask for us, but, and if they need assistance from the county, they will go out now.
okay, thank you.
Okay, our basic response protocols, the district has developed all of our emergency response plan, and in accordance with NIMS, which is the National Incident Management System, or SIMS, which is the Standard Emergency Management System. The NIMS is national, SIMS is a statewide system. And really, NIMS is probably came out of SIMS, and NIMS came out after Katrina. So it's just a way for all multi-agencies to coordinate and work together to resolve an emergency event. Okay. Regional events, we work through the San Diego County Water Authority. The San Diego County Water Authority is the lead for coordinating response with the San Diego County water agencies. They also have a seat at the San Diego County OES, Emergency Operations Center. And for instance, in the Cocos fires, when we had to get any information or pass on information or get our guys through some fire lines or stuff like that, I would go directly to the San Diego County Water Authority's person who's at the EOC, and she would turn around to the fire marshal or whoever, or police officer, and get our information to them that allow us to continue with our work. We also, if requested, would have a seat on the City of San Marcos EOC. We primarily, in this event, the last one, the Cocos event, we just primarily had one of our public affairs officer there out there helping their public affairs officer. Also, for us to respond, and we have a district-wide emergency response plan, and in that Section 5 concept operation basically gives basic guidance on how we would respond to different events. Local events, again, like water main breaks, we have a specific type of procedures that are been developed, and I'll go over some of those later on. Part of our emergency protocol is redundancy, and redundancy in electricity, for instance, are emergency generators. Also, again, training, we do a lot of training with our personnel. I mentioned earlier about our emergency operations and the other people's emergency operation, but our emergency operation center, the primary emergency operations center, is our training room here in Building A. In that we have our backup power, which is our generator here on site, and so we're fully operational during an emergency. We also have satellite TV for local and national coverage. We have dedicated computers that we have set up that are ready to use at any time during an emergency. Communications is key, so we have internet, phone lines, radios, cell phones, and SCADA system in our emergency operations center. We also have food, MREs, which I think are pretty good, but other people don't like. We have personal hygiene supplies for people who should probably take a shower or something, and cots, sleeping bags, and flashlights and batteries and office supplies. Our alternate EOC is the Metal Arc Reclamation Facility. There we also have backup power, so we can be fully operational. We have the same communication suite, internet, phone lines, radios, cell phones, SCADA, food supplies, cots, personal hygiene, and office supply there.
If I may, I'm just curious, in both of these facilities, about how many people would be in these facilities if a big emergency were to happen?
The way we have it set up, it'll probably be 10 to 12 people.
In
there.
either Metal Arc or Building A?
Right, and and then obviously we have the operational crew that will be out in the field and doing their work.
Okay, thank you.
We mentioned emergency power. At our lift stations, all of our lift stations have a generator except for our Montiel lift station. And those generators have a capacity of 24 hours. So that means they can run 24 hours without being refueled. Our Montiel lift station, we have a portable generator, standby generator that we pull out to it. So all of our lift stations have emergency power. Our water pump stations, only critical water pump stations have them, but we have the capacity to move to 50 kW portable generators that are standardized configuration that could fit any of our pump stations. Again, those, we have 24-hour capacity. Our generators are run monthly. We do that in-house. Our annually, we do a load bank test to make sure that they'll operate correctly at full power. And we have our own load bank that we use. And annually, maintenance is performed on them or as needed. Fuel supplies, we have on-site fuel storage here at our site. The capacity is 10,000 gallon diesel, 10,000 gallon regular gasoline, and we generally don't let those go below 50%.
Good morning.
I have a quick question to ask you. In case of a very large emergency, earthquake, whatever, you have 24 hours of fuel storage at all locations, basically. The 25th hour, when you can't get someone there, you don't have any more storage on site than 24 hours worth of power? I'm just asking.
Right.
'Cause if you had a major, I mean, even the government tells you, if we have a major incident, you better be prepared to lock down your house for at least a week before anybody gets to you. So, and I understand your crews would be working on getting to those sites, but maybe impenetrable all the time. So, I mean, is 24 hours just the minimum standard that you have to do, which I know a lot of government agencies do, or is that realistic? I don't know.
It's what we have on site is the capacity of the tank that's with the generator. If we go additional, that means we'd have to put a larger tank. We do have one larger tank at one of our most critical facilities, which is the North Twin Oaks pump station. We have a large tank there that will go well beyond 24 hours. But otherwise, yeah, you're correct. It's 24 hours is standard that we use. And it's because we,
Yes, and
Yes, sir.
Director Howard?
Yeah, you mentioned on the slide you have access to fuel suppliers. Are they dedicated commercial suppliers?
we have some, but primarily we do have the dedicated suppliers is Oaks and Platinum that can provide us fuel. In the last power outage, what we had done is we just used it out of our tank.
Right.
And I think we could only, by law, take 110 gallons per thing. And so we continue to go around and make sure our tanks on our generators are full and they were operating properly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Director Hernandez.
And do you rotate that fuel when you use it, or is it just laying there, sitting there until you need it, or?
Yeah, the fuels are in the fuel tanks of the generators themselves, but they've been treated so that they
Don't have to worry.
Yeah, you don't have to worry.
And the 10,000 of diesel and gasoline, is that rotated, or is?
That's here on site, so we
Right.
use it,
Oh.
like when we fill up our trucks and stuff
okay.
like that. So what we don't do is let it go below 50% capacities.
Perfect.
Okay. And then,
I'll follow.
yes, sir.
What capacity do we have on site?
It's, we have 10,000, the tanks are 10,000 capacity, but the most we can fill them up is 9,000 gallons. And then
And
we
you
don't let it
keep-
go below 50%, so roughly we won't let it go below 5,000 gallons.
2 tanks?
One is gasoline and one's diesel.
So 4,000 gallons at any time you should have in each tank.
Oh, each tank is 10,000 gallons, right.
Right,
At
but
any
you can go to
time.
50%.
Yeah, we won't go, at any one time, we should have no less than maybe 4,000 gallons in
Right.
either tank. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you.
And as was mentioned, other suppliers of fuels, the San Diego County Water Authority would work with us on getting other fuel. In the last power outage, they had put out the word that if any of the local agencies needed fuel, they'd come to their fuel yard. Also, the San Diego County OVS is working on a fuel plan as well as the replacement generators. And Cali OS has a works plan. FEMA has plans to bring fuel in if needed.
Yes, Director Hernandez.
I just was driving by today, and I must be us living under a rock here in my own community, but I see that EDCO just has taken down the fence, and so now we can see this fuel service. And I suspect that's for their own vehicles, but maybe it's larger. Is it make any sense to try and make a connection with them to see if there's, because I gotta believe they got more than 10,000 gallons with the trucks they have.
Well, it's natural gas.
Oh, it is?
That's natural gas.
Ah,
Yeah, the board's brought this up a few times, the incentives that there were to buy natural gas vehicles to get to our level of what we need from a strength and everything else, a lot of that's gone away. We had initially looked at doing this jointly with the school district.
Yeah.
When Director Podol had brought up that they were looking at it, they kind of came to the same conclusion. A lot of the incentives to go to it have disappeared, which doesn't necessarily make it
I
viable.
just saw the pumps and.
Yeah, I believe that's natural gas.
Yeah, okay.
The capital facilities are
Extremely expensive.
to put in to supply compressed natural gas.
Director Martin?
And my understanding, unless I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I do believe it is open to the public.
Oh, I think it
For
is.
natural
Yeah, I
gas.
think it is. But it
And
is a
they
natural
put in,
gas.
because of their fleet of trucks, changing those over was well worth the initial investment, which is huge, I was told, but they look at 50 years. And the lifetime of their trucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's open to the public, so it's,
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, another key component in emergency preparedness is communication. So here at the district, we have telephone lines, obviously, and our telephone, the main trunk is a 24-port primary rate interface. And we also have one hard line. And basically what that means in the short term is you can have 23 different phone lines. And then they're both have UPS, which is uninterrupted power supply, and generator backup. Radios, we have a repeater. Our repeater has battery backup, and one thing I didn't put on here I just noticed it's not on there, is that we also have the capability of putting one of the small portable generators up there with it.
Could you tell me what a repeater is?
Repeater is when you send a radio signal, it goes to a repeater and sends it to the other radio.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And then we have cell phones. The district provides supervisor and managers with cell phones. And also for emergency purposes, Verizon has given us 10 emergency phones we have stored in our EOC that we can distribute if we need to, and they have their own phone line. Yes, sir.
Question? I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. The question is, what do you have? I mean, we all know when an emergency happens, phone service is the first thing that disappears because it's overtaxed, and then the line service disappears. So what do you have in the way of the old radios to get back and forth?
As I go down, we do.
It's still coming up.
It's still coming up.
Sorry,
and
sorry,
then-
jump to it, sorry.
And then the next thing is also, it leads into the next thing, the GETS, which is the Government Emergency Telecommunication Service. And so, as you were saying, as the phone lines get taxed and everything, we have signed up with the federal government program that gives us 2 cards that we can dial in and give us priority to get through those when the phone lines are jammed up. So,
And do you keep them in a hermetically sealed box somewhere?
well,
Sounds
unfortunately,
like-
they will only give us 2 cards, and I have one of the cards. And
Oh, can you show it to us without having to kill us?
yeah, I just can't give you the pin.
Is it
number.
up for auction?
Oh, there's a PIN number on there.
Yeah,
Oh,
so when you
oh,
call into this number, you give your PIN, and then you dial your regular number. The other person who has it is Ed Petrozzi.
oh. Ed has one.
It's also like SDG&E, we have the right if a rolling blackout comes through, or they need to put a section of town out of water, or out of power, we have a priority that if we have an essential function within that grid, we can call and have that grid turned back on, and they turn a different grid off instead. So we have the same relationship with SDG&E.
In reality, this card will go into our EOC in the event that I'm not present. The incident manager will have access to it.
So that's a real platinum card.
Yeah.
Even our general manager and our number 2 don't get one of
No,
those.
nope.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
They took my password away.
Now we know where the power is.
Okay, the next line of communication is our district internet. Our internet connection is Sky River. It's via a wireless circuit. This is all given to me by IT. And if the Sky River goes down, we have AT&T DSL that will automatically switch over. And Metal Arc has the same system. So they guarantee me that we won't lose internet connectivity.
And I just have to ask a
Yes, sir.
question. And it's not, this is the first time I've heard of Sky River. I'm just getting used to the cloud.
Sky River is just a service. It's not
Pineapple
special.
Express.
Pineapple
The
Express.
I thought it was, yeah, Pineapple Express. I was waiting
Do they
for,
have
you
any
know, the
relation-
fawn in the meadow. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
I said the same thing. I thought it was like, wow,
Okay,
Sky River.
all right, so that's a company.
Yeah.
Do they have any relation to Skynet?
Thank you.
And then our district telemetry, the SCADA system, it's all on radio transmitter. They're independent of ground lines, and they have redundant operations. If one radio fails, it automatically seeks another radio. And then again, their generator or battery backup for those. And then here we're within the building, we have satellite television with 3 connections for monitoring local and national news. Continuing with communications, countywide communications, we have the Web EOC, and this is what pretty much all public entities as well, public entities or private entities that tie into the San Diego County Office of Emergency Service will be on. And basically, we have the water agencies have their own hub on that Web EOC. That's how we continue. We can go out, you can publish things to the water hub, or you can go out to the general web, but it's the way of everybody tracking, keeping updated, the updated picture of what's going on if it's a large event. We also have the water agencies have their own radio system, which is a MAX communication system, and it's managed by the San Diego County Water Authority, and we do monthly checks on those radios, and those radios actually have been more effective than the next radios that we'll talk about is the regional communication system, which is most of the first responders in San Diego County have those as part of that system. The MAX radios stayed up a lot better than in some instances than the RCS radios. We have 2 of the RCS radios just for monitoring purposes. If we went to that system, it would be very expensive. I think 10 years ago it was like $300,000 and something, and it's not quite as reliable. So they're getting ready to redo that system to make it a little bit more reliable. But so currently we just have 2 radios to monitor those. And that's the communications missions. As I mentioned earlier, the district has its emergency response plan, and that we have specific action plans to deal with certain emergencies. And these emergencies, when we did the vulnerability assessment in 2004, these were the ones that we determined we needed action plans for. So basically, persons can go into these action plans and go through it and manage in an emergency. It's also emergency.
Jerome,
Yes.
can I just ask you back on the one just before this? How often how often do they go through like practice runs on
Drills.
those drills? Yeah. on
The
those
MAX
specific-
radio, it's a monthly thing. There's a,
No, actually, I mean on the emergency preparedness procedures, the one, next one.
This
forward.
one?
On all these action plans, have they all,
we just reviewed those, and Dennis just gave me the final copy. One of the things that Ken had asked is that when we went and reviewed this, is to give it to all the supervisors, have them get their inputs. So these action plans have been pretty much updated.
Excellent.
So they should be all the supervisors are very familiar with them at this point.
but is it something that's reviewed, I guess?
Annually.
Annually, okay. And then my second question, I'm sorry, was, of the ones we have here, have we had any besides the fire? I mean, I know we've probably had assault on district personnel often.
I feel that.
But that's our own problem. Do we have we had to use these action plans, like,
No, but we have practice on, for instance,
3 and 6.
what was it, the Great Earthquake Shakeout?
yes,
We used our, follow the procedures in this.
in the April or whenever that is, when
Well,
you?
it was 2 years ago, I believe, is when it was for Southern California, and this last time is for Northern California. And this May, I know next month I'll be meeting with the Wake Group, the regional group, and we still haven't gotten the word what the next one will be in May, which, the statewide event. So we'll by March, I should have a good idea. If it's within Southern California, then we'll exercise.
And then we all work together to see what, thank you. Did you have your, yes, thank
Yes,
you.
were we able to employ the power outage protocol when we had that power outage?
Pretty much, it went the way
2
it was,
years ago.
it went pretty much the way it was outlined.
Director Chanel?
Thank you. I think what President Evans was asking wasn't so much about the review of the procedures themselves, but do you test them on a quarterly basis, a biannual basis, either tabletop drills or live drills, or are they tested at all?
Biannually, we do EOC, we practice the EOC, but we haven't specifically practiced the plans. We just practice on coordination with the EOC.
And the ones that we've used have worked well.
So far.
Thank you.
Disclaimer.
And other emergency procedures that we have in place, our hazardous materials business plan is wherever we have hazardous materials required by the county to have specific emergency response plans. We do practice some of those, specifically with the hazmat team. We do quarterly drills. The collections department has their own sewer overflow response plan. And they practice that in real life. And knock on wood, not too often. And then the Metal Arc Water Reclamation Facility has its overflow reporting and response plan. Water Operations has emergency disinfection plan, emergency notification plan. Construction has their water main break procedures. Finance has emergency cash distribution policy. And our engineering department has the safety assessment program evaluators. And public information use notification using voice shot.
And what is voice shot? I'm sorry.
That's what I was
Oh, yeah, what is voice shot?
It's the reverse 911.
Oh, 911?
Reverse.
Similar to a reverse.
Okay, thank you. And finance, is that your bank number 2?
My bank?
In an emergency, do you cover us?
His wife.
No. We have actually learned from Katrina, after that, we have funds here in case like everything's down, like you can't use your credit card, you can't, do things like that. We also have backup with funds, cash.
This is amazingly thorough. Yes, Director Sanella.
Yes.
Hey, Tom, are the funds kept in a safe?
I knew someone was gonna ask that. I can't disclose where they're kept,
Undisclosed location?
but they're safe.
They are safe.
Yes, and Director Martin.
I think I saw him in his shoebox in
Who would
Dennis's
think
office.
so?
at
Got
the
that in your
bottom.
heel, your shoe?
Well, if you can.
A question, notification using voice shot, and I heard that was like reverse 911. Why isn't it reverse 911? Or is it reverse 911?
Works this.
Or is it a brand?
We sometimes will use a reverse 911.
Thank you, Chris.
So sometimes in a real emergency, we would use the reverse 911 system, which is managed by, I believe, the county. But the voice shot's just an application that you purchase service through to reach out to your customers and send them all a notification that there's a limited area that has a sewer main break or water, they're gonna be without water. So it's just a service that you purchase.
So voice shot is, we purchase it specifically for our region, our district boundaries.
Correct.
Regarding to our problems.
And we can extract the phone numbers from the billing system and collect the group that we need to talk to and send that voice message to just specifically that little targeted group, like a street when we have an outage on a street or whatever.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you for
And then,
explaining that.
We can also use the county's 911 reverse system. Our PAO has been trained in that. Our GIS people have been trained how to draw the maps and then send it. With that, though, we have to send it to them, and they load it up onto their system, and they send it out. Whereas I think voice shot, we can do it here in-house.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm surprised nobody asked about SAP, about the engineers being SAP, but.
We want to know who the SAP is. but-
The
Oh,
SAPs are
Could've guessed
James,
that.
James, Ken, and Rob. And basically,
James, Ken, and Rob.
it's a program that's that it's a statewide program that they're specifically trained to go into facilities and inspect them to make sure they're safe for occupancy. For instance, the earthquake in Napa, if they could have been called, they're on a data list, and they could have been called to go up and assist those people in evaluating their buildings. It's all volunteer though, so.
So, may I ask, so they're available to the state because there's not very many people are certified in it?
Right, but each, if our facilities, we're required to have some, we wouldn't be able to come into our facilities after an earthquake or something like that unless one of those people came in and inspected our facilities. So it's an advantage to us to have on-site.
Absolutely. Yes.
Quick question, we say it's all volunteer, it's not really, it's a reciprocal agreement, I'm assuming. If up north needed our SAP people, we would send them, we would pay them, then we'd be reimbursed.
That's correct.
So it's not really volunteer, it's, they get paid.
There's enough people that they would not have to, if they volunteer, meaning if they called Ken to go up there, if he had something going on, he doesn't have to go. It's not.
He always checks on what hotel they're putting in first.
Right.
If it's 5-star, he's there.
Thank you.
District training, like I said earlier, we have biennial drills that we do in the EOC. NIMS training, all of our personnel who man the EOC, I require them to have ICS training 100 and 700. Our incident managers in the thing have ICS 100, 200, 700, 800, 300, and 400. So, and I have all those trainings. Plus, we have additional trainings that we get outside training for incident management. Quarterly, our hazmat team drills. We do classroom training, and then we'll do a site drill. And then also our hazmat team has trained with San Marcos, Vista, and Carlsbad Fire Department. Annually, I do.
So a quick question, doesn't the county participate in these things?
And
The county? Because we're part of the county, but I don't see where they're participating.
as far as our hazmat drills,
Mhm.
essentially what would happen what will happen is because the county hazmat team is located down in San Diego, they've been invited, but they haven't come out, because normally what would happen is we would be working with one of the fire agencies, and in fact is, one time we did have an issue where we did call, we worked with the Vista Fire Department, Carlsbad Fire Department, called County Hazmat. They didn't even bother to come, so.
Oh, sure.
So,
Thank you.
The hazmat team that we have is fully certified with redundant staff, so we're equally trained as the county hazmat team to respond. So they really have said, you guys are good to go. Unless there's something really bad happens, don't call us.
Well, that's nice to know, we're good.
Sounds like the county.
And annually, I hold a business plan training for this site, and basically all of the employees are required to attend. And I also go over emergency procedures and training at that time. And then if there's any new information that needs to get out, we provide, it's either a weekly or a monthly tailgate, depending on when the information needs to get out to the employees. And then, like I said earlier, we do outside training primarily with conferences or going to specific classes for emergency response. FEMA holds a lot of classes, the ICS classes, and there's California has some classes that we attend.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, just with regard to the ICS training, does all district management staff go through at least some ICS training?
Primarily, it's mostly the people who work out the EOCs, and those people are identified.
Right, are they typically management staff? I mean,
Dennis has gone through the training. I guess, yeah, Tom's gone through the training, Ken's gone through the training, so I think Ronnie's.
I mean, typically the section chiefs in an emergency situation would be, if you have management staff available, they would typically staff those positions, I would assume.
Yeah, that's where it goes. I'm the incident commander if we have a major incident as far as outreach, talking to the press and acting on behalf of the district. Tom's the alternate to that, and then Ken's the alternate to Tom. So it's the senior management. but they don't let us get anywhere close to the actual site. So we've got the management training at the right level so we can run the incident without doing something wrong, but we still have to turn it over to the supervisors and their staff.
Thank you.
And on that note, I think if you look on the, did we put that on the back of their cards? Let me see it, Nate. See, the back of all of the employees' cards, it actually has the government code section that indicates as a public employee by law, they are identified as a first responder, period. And so we have the government code section on there, so if Rondi comes up in an emergency and is gated off by the National Guard, they should allow us to pass to get in to get to the emergency as the employees.
Pass my badge around.
Well, we have
Oh, so we can see-
new badges, but we're not first responders.
We can see a real badge if you pass yours around. That would be nice. Can I do anything with this at Disneyland?
Yeah, they charge you double.
If you have your shot card with you.
We have the fake ones. They have the real ones. Oh, and look, they got a real
Yeah.
finger.
Exactly.
This is class.
You don't need one. They don't want you to.
I get caught.
Yeah, but then we'd have to put up with board directors, so. and they
Really
do,
don't know what they're
so
doing. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yes, and depending on who they
Are
are,
you
it'll
up
actually
with the
show that it's
questions?
emergency services
I
plus
think
the
that's my next
responder.
slide. Questions?
Questions, any further questions or comments?
Oh, this one, ours on the back, it says, if lost, please send to, and it gives the address.
Is that if you're lost?
If I'm
Return
lost.
phone number.
We're having good fun with this, that I really want to compliment you. I was at, one of my first conferences was about earthquake preparedness, and it was Lucy someone who's the big state.
Oh, Caltech.
Oh, and she was very, just serious and practical about it, but it was like, this could be a major, and don't expect it to be over easy, and you need to do all these levels, and I've kind of in the back of my mind wondered what we did here. I knew a little bit better when I was on the city council where they kind of did it, but this is entirely different when you think of both sewer and water and all the complications involved, and I'm very impressed. And I'm very happy to know we have well-trained people. And I'm grateful I'm not a first responder, to be honest with you. It sounds serious, but thank you. And just out of curiosity, what did you do in school that led you to become a risk management supervisor? Were you naughty or?
No, my degree is in marine biology.
Marine
Oh,
There you go.
now we know.
No, I joined the Navy when I came out of the college, so I've been primarily in command and control positions in the Navy. I spent 4 years active duty, 24 years in the reserves, and primary command and control. 9/11, for instance, I stood watch at 3rd Fleet's Watch Center. I started off as assistant to the assistant battle watch captain, and towards the end I was the battle watch captain. So, and then that position became the fleet watch officer. So,
Well, I thank you. I'm impressed with what we've got here.
and then when I also, as I got out of the Navy, I worked for a defense contractor. Then, because I have a biology degree, I wanted to get in the environmental field. So I stayed as a program manager for a defense contractor for several years. Then went into emergency response, hazardous materials, cleanup, that type of stuff. And then I went into worked for engineering firm where I was manager of environmental services.
So do you ever get to go back and do anything with the marine biology at all?
I haven't never done anything.
No.
He likes fish.
You know how life.
Isn't that how life is?
Tell you one little life story change. You know, when I was just finishing college, I was at Texas A&M Galveston, and National Marine Fisheries. They had a job offer for somebody to do redfish population study along the Texas coast, and it was for $1,000 a month. And I went back to my roommate because the professor asked me, Jerome, why don't you go apply for this job? I think you can get it, blah, blah, blah. And I went back to my roommate, he goes, Jerome, I can make more than that, you know, working construction. Why would I do that? So I didn't do that. So a couple of weeks later, the professor goes, Jerome, why didn't you apply for that job? And I told him, he goes, how much money do you make now, Jerome? So that little light turning changed a lot of
It's
things.
interesting, Howard, so we're grateful you're with us. Did you have?
Yeah, I just looked up the statute when he was talking, and there is a California Government Code section that says that, declares that for the protection of the health and safety and preservation of lives, et cetera, that all public employees are declared to be disaster service workers, which I think we all know. But as I read on, what I thought was kind of interesting is the statute requires that before they can act or before they can ever be paid or reimbursed by the public agency, that they've got to take the oath of office, and that we basically have to do it kind of on an annual basis, and have it. And before they get paid, they've got to have some sort of certification that says that they took the oath of office. And the reason for that, again, is that being loyal to the Constitution and the government. I mean, it's quite a long statute, but it really is interesting, and I think it's probably overlooked most of the time when we get into these disasters, because I can't imagine anybody standing around swearing everybody.
the oath.
Yeah, when we hire them, they do swear the oath and sign the paper and acknowledge it, so we've got that on the record that everybody's gone through it.
So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting that they had to do that too.
That is interesting. It's a side job, though. In emergencies, you could just run around and be swearing everyone in.
$50 a pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more questions or comments?
No, my only comment is great report, and you do a great job. Unsung heroes, people just don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and keeping it all together is awesome. Great job, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Very much. Please stay for the rest of our exciting and interesting meeting. Okay, that was overwhelming. Okay, next one, 2.5, Communication Outreach Program, and I believe Chris will be our speaker.
Sure enough, Madam Chair, board members, I'm Chris Robbins, Public Information and Water Conservation Supervisor for the Public Information Department, and I have just a brief update on the Communications and Outreach Program. So back in October, the Board of Directors had selected Katz and Associates to be our outreach consultant to do communication planning as it relates to the strategic plan that's been put in place. The very first task that Katz was supposed to accomplish was the survey of our customers, so we can get some feedback on our customers and then plan the outreach plan. So back in January, back on the 7th, and then again on the 19th, Tina and Dr. Parker came and talked about the survey and gave you some examples of what the survey was going to look like, and we got approval on the draft survey. So they're moving forward with the survey. They're about 2 weeks into it. It'll probably take about 30 days for them to complete the survey, and then they're going to compile all the information and come back to us with some information on what the survey is really telling us and what are we learning about our customers. There's an actual timeline that Tina gave me on the deliverables for her tasks, and the one I'd like to point out is the March 18th. It looks like she can be back before the board along with myself, and we can talk about what the survey says, and they'll distill and analyze the report findings, which will drive kind of the key messages for the outreach program. There's some additional dates included. It goes out from May to June to July, some specific target dates that she's put in place, Speakers Bureau and communication plans. And the really good news that I wanted to share was that I was a little nervous at first that maybe we would go above the budgeted amount that we had for this survey, and Tina assured me that they were going to be able to stay within the budgeted amount for the survey, so that's really good news. And we should be back with good information for all of you in March.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Thank you for a nice update. Yes, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
And thank you for sending out the question.
Oh,
that was
certainly.
great. Item 2 point, lost it, 6.
Yes.
Election to fill 5 executive community member positions in Association of Aqua JPIA. Okay. You want to go for this?
Yeah, you
or-
do have that before you. I did have Tom call and verify one thing just to make sure is it has to be an appointed chair or board member. Hal is our representative. We did put Director Evans as the alternate, but can't be an alternate
Okay.
appointment, so it can only be the appointee on behalf, which is Director Martin. So if Director Martin is interested, he would just need a nomination from the other four of you to serve on this position. We would then get a resolution, send it in. We would also have to obtain 3 other resolutions of support from other agencies for that, if Director Martin is interested.
Director Martin, are you interested?
I met with a group from Aqua, Region 10,
Last
couple of weeks ago?
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Mhm.
and we discussed it. It seemed like there's very capable people that are very interested, so at this time, I'm not interested.
Okay, excellent, as long as it's taken care of, I appreciate you giving us vouching for
Yep.
Thank
those
you.
who are.
And that leads to the next item, is that because we did not have a nominee, the next item is we have received a letter from Vista Irrigation District on behalf of Paul Dory to be the representative from VID, as well as Mr., I always get it wrong, Knudsen, Mr. Bill Knudsen from Waima, would like our endorsement as well to be on there. They're both very, as Director Martin said, they've got great experience, very well qualified to be on that JPIA. If the board would like to endorse it, we do have 2 resolutions that were already prepared in the memo. And if there is an interest, it would have to be a roll call, first and second.
Roll call would be fine. Can we do these both resolutions at once or separately?
I would do them separately.
You would do them separately? Okay, so we need a motion and a second on the first resolution.
I move on the first resolution.
Second.
Paul Davy? Paul Davy,
Okay,
no.
so
Yes.
moved and seconded.
Yes.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call vote?
And this will be resolution 1463. Director Oliver?
Aye.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Snella?
Yes.
Director Evans?
Yes. And moving on to the
Move to
second.
approve second resolution?
For Bill Knudsen.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Could we have a roll call vote?
This will be resolution 1464. Director Oliver?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Yes.
Director Evans?
Yes. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We'll have this item sent out. Thank you.
All right, and the next one is item 2.8. We will, ordinance number 190 per diem review. This comes up on an annual basis, but I also know this was brought up with, people pass it down.
Compliments of Director Hernandez.
Director Hernandez was asked that this be on specifically, so, would you like to start it off, Director Hernandez?
$800.
Oh,
Or
sure.
Would you like to
Uh,
review what you've given us?
No, I already know what they're giving you.
No, I.
Trouble.
Yes, well, there's always trouble. I meant, did you need, it does,
Oh, I'm sorry.
manager,
Let me
yeah.
lead in.
Would you like to lead in?
Just very
before-
quickly, then Director Hernandez can take over. Just in the background, it's very short and sweet. Ordinance number 190 identifies the current per diem, the meetings that the board can attend to obtain those per diems. And the payment of the per diem is limited by law to 10 meetings per month, no more than 1 within a 24-hour period. You've heard this song and drill quite a few times. The last time this was discussed by the board, I put two down here for you, because the last one where it actually came to the board was February 2013. We then, at the CSU workshop, we then kind of an update, but it was more of a discussion topic than it was as an actual agendized item, so there's no backup history to that. What you have, starting on page 54, we call it Exhibit A. What the law allows you, let me back up, you have not raised your per diems since ordinance number 124 was adopted in May of 1999. It was $150 at that point. The government code there does authorize what you can do, and there's a 60-day period that you have to wait before it goes into effect. Exhibit A is the 2 things that the board had me bring back in 2013 for comparison purposes. One was the cost of living allowance that had been provided per the MOU with the employees over the years. The second one is the allowable increase by law that you're allowed to actually catch up on. And then to the right is, you can see the difference if it was modified by COLA or if it was modified by the allowable that you're allowed there. Exhibit B at the very end is just the current survey that Diane's group does on an annual basis, and they usually wrap it around the end of February. I think that's it.
All right. So, would would you like to?
So I've asked this to be brought forward because I think it's important. When we brought it before the board last time, we were still in perhaps the end, but still in a depressed state in the state and the nation. I think we have come through that. We have not had an increase since '99, and I did a little homework here, and the best I could
Yeah,
do
I'm working on it.
to be able to get what increases have taken place in other areas from 1999 to 2009.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're just weird and across the board. You know, if you want to go to the Empire State Building, it was $4.99, $20 in 2009, 400% increase. Gallon of gas, $1.30, and even, it's interesting, in 2009, it was $1.56, it's gone up, it's come back down, so that's even still a 96% plus increase. Disneyland tickets, 75% increase, round numbers. Various items that are pretty standard everyday use have been well over 50%. And so it's my personal opinion, and I would make a recommendation after we have a discussion, that I think we should move our rate, per diem rate, to $200 per meeting. I think you can see by the numbers on Exhibit A, if we use just the standard COLA, we'd be like at $221. If we use the allowable, which is obviously way extended, is $311. But I would also add that we should implement a standard annual increase of cost of living, and then we would never have to discuss this again, because I think that would be a fair increase to keep up with the increase of generalized items that we're dealing with and purchasing every day. I do not believe personally, and I would hardly disagree with anybody, to categorize this as a raise. This is definitely not a raise. This is catching up with what has gone on to purchasing the purchase power of our area in the nation. We would be screaming if this went into reverse, if we were losing 2% every year and it was actually being affected in our per diem. So I think we should be at $200 per meeting with a cost of living added annually as a standard consent calendar item. And
Are you making a motion or just
no, I'm just
opening
that's the discussion. I'll make a motion to have a discussion.
Okay, so we're open for discussion on the possibilities of what to do with per diem. And Director Martin.
I have a question for staff, I think. Is there, I haven't seen it according to anyone else's, but is there a way that you can change per diem according to time put in? For instance, I know at least 3 of us, maybe 4 of us, maybe all 5 of us are working. And when we take time off to spend a day at a conference, we might be penalizing ourselves from working that day versus when you're coming to a 2-hour meeting. Is there a way to change per diem for a meeting versus an overnight when you have to be gone from your job? Is there any way to look at that? I don't know.
To answer your question, there's a very specific statute that was passed probably about 20 years ago that sets forth the procedure and the allowance for special district board members. And it doesn't allow for what you're suggesting. It does allow for what we've done in the past, which is, it started out at $100 and then could be increased 5% per year. And you have this, there's a little notice process that we got to go through, and we can bring it back to you at the next meeting if you guys, in your discussions here, feel it's appropriate for the increase. But there is no flexibility.
Okay, so it's all or nothing, it's one fee.
Yeah.
Because there are times when we come to a normal meeting, like say today's meeting, we're here 2 hours, we spend 2 hours reading it ahead of time, maybe a couple hours going out and looking at sites so I can understand. But like I said, when you're gone for a 24-hour period, it does make a difference, and to some people it can make a difference in their payroll adjustment. They actually be earning less because they serve on the board, and I don't think that's the intent or anyone would expect that. So I just, again, for talking about it purposes, there are considerations, and it's always highly volatile. Employees are not, because they work for us and we can use common sense. But when it comes to the board, it's like, oh, you're voting yourself a raise. That's what people always think. So common sense gets thrown out the window for political correctness. And that's been a problem, obviously, since '99, looking at political correctness versus a 5% a year raise or whatever I'm saying. So sometimes you just have to say, you know what? It's worth it for the time you put in my opinion. But, well, more discussion. Like your board said.
Until he's finished.
I'm done.
All right, Director Sinal.
Just to clarify your answer and maybe restate the question. So it is not allowable to have a per diem amount for a meeting or some sort of event that we attend up to hypothetically 2 hours and 59 minutes and then have a different per diem amount once you cross that 3-hour threshold?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a per day allowance.
Okay.
Did you have any comments?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Director Hernandez. I think it's reasonable to have some kind of an increase. I think it's very unreasonable to go 15 years with no increase. And I worked at a district that exactly the same situation. And I've just noticed in the survey, they finally did increase theirs after 15 years of work. But, I'd like to see it. I think a reasonable increase would be at least what the Encina per diem rate is. And I could support something in that range or on up to the $200, I think is reasonable.
Is Encina listed on this?
They're not.
182.
Number 3.
At 182. I have very mixed feelings about the per diem to begin with. I mean, I do know, I think all 5 of us work, and when we took this on as an elected official, we all knew it was public service, and it's not, we have a job to pay the bills. So although I do know things have gotten more expensive, I expect my job to give me the money to live on, and I'm not expecting this to pay me for my time. That's just my own opinion. So I take the idea of public service very seriously, and I understand that's why there's per diems, and that's why I get to spend an entire day, which I do enjoy, at the Water Authority, but I'm gone from 7 in the morning until 7, sometimes 7 at night, and it's $150. That's just the way it is. And their agendas can be a lot bigger than our agendas. I'm not complaining, nor am I patting myself on the back. When I took it, that's what I realized. So it's very hard for me to want to increase it. I do understand that not increasing it since 1999 is a very long time, although I also have to respect it has come in front of a board every single year, and the boards have continued to say no. So I'm not so sure I can go back to the other boards and say, well, they said no, but now I want it, so give me the money I missed. So I too agree with Director Ellithorpe in that I have a difficulty with 200. I can see either going to something closer to the 182 or accepting, we kind of said we would get a cost of living, and if you're only looking at cost of living, it would be 221 according to Exhibit A. However, when I look at all the other agencies, I feel, what was the median? 153.85, and I noticed that, I have to say this, it's just too funny to me. Our golden standard place of Liebenhain is also only at 150. So if we do what Liebenhain does, we would stay where we are, and they did decline a raise. I have to throw that in just to be kind of silly. But I would be fine if we didn't have a raise at all.
Just as a matter of point, so the board understands that you are allowed by law to do a catch-up at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you guys decide to catch up, that now establishes that base. So if you say it's 182 and it could be
221.
Excuse me.
260, 250 is the max.
Yeah. So you've just got to make sure you understand that if you do a catch-up, that's what you're allowed by law to do. That's why we gave you the 5% per year in the COLA, because that's what you're allowed to do. But if you say 180 is now your number, okay, the past is now gone. That is now what you start with and you move forward today. So you don't get to go back and get a bite of the apple the second time. So just so the board's aware of that. It's a one-time catch-up.
One-time catch-up regardless. All right, yes, Director Martin.
If I may, I'd like to bring up, I looked at the survey, and many of the surveys here are a single dimension. They do water, they do sewer, very few do both. So with that, if I may, I'm going to make a motion that we change the rate to 185 as the catch-up, knowing that we could go to 221, bite the political bullet for future people that are in this office, as well as for the people that are here now, and do a compromise and do the 5%, if that's what we can do,
Well, you can just pick your amount, your dollar amount you want to go to.
right?
Yeah, that's kind of establishes your new, so if that your
Right.
motion is 185, that's just your motion.
Could I make a suggestion that you direct staff to bring the ordinance back?
Yeah.
Because the way that this statute works is you gotta publish the notice basically and hold a public hearing. And then like other ordinances, it actually doesn't become effective for 60 days. You gotta go through this rigmarole, but it's
And that's talking
required.
about, can you put the 5% or the cost of living? Can you add that every year? Do you have to
I'm
bring it
really
forward?
concerned in reading the statute, and I'm giving you conservative advice, but I don't think I don't think the automatic escalator is consistent with the intent of the statute. I think you'd be best served to basically set your rate, and then if down the road you want to change that rate, then you go through the process again, because the history of this was basically special districts like water districts would periodically come to the legislature, and they'd say, look, it's been a long time, we really need, we think it's appropriate for an increase. So the state legislature then would put a statute in that would allow for the particular special district, whether it's a water district or a healthcare district or community service district, that they would allow for that amount. And so the legislature got tired of that, and they said, look, we're going to let you take care of this at the local level. But by doing that, we're going to require you to go through this process every time that you raise or increase this. So I, myself and other lawyers that practice in this area would tell you that I don't think it's a good practice to have an automatic increase in there. And I understand that your point, and I think it's a very good point, Jim, but I think, from my perspective, I don't feel real comfortable recommending the automatic escalator in there.
Yes, Director Hernandez.
Just as clarification, but don't we in fact have that for the employees? They have an automatic escalator of COLA that we have in our MOU with them?
Well, that's a little different situation because you're negotiating with your employees, and that's in your discretion as the body to make that determination. This is something that's come down from the legislature and said, you shall do it this way. And I'm telling you that I think the spirit I think you'd be better served to follow the statute.
And really, that was the reason for my adding that little bit of a caveat, because really, I can imagine this is a difficult discussion to have, and that's why they haven't had it for 15 years.
Right.
To consider having this again in a year or two, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So I think you, Dennis, you were right. This is one bite at the apple, and then we're going to let it lay there for some time in the future, and that's whether we add the COLA or not. But I think the $200 level is a catch-up, I guess is what you'd call it, for 15 years.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I'll
Excuse me,
withdraw my motion that I started to make, but I didn't finish.
You withdraw your motion?
Well, I
All right.
started to make, I didn't get a chance to finish it because I had a question, but now I'm going to withdraw it because you can't add the 5%. We'll leave that motion up to someone else.
Okay,
If I might ask the chair's
Benjamin.
indulgence with council, one of the topics that came up at the board workshop was the acknowledgement that even if there was a COLA escalator per policy, the board recognized they still had to advertise and put it in the news just 2 times per year. That was a question that got thrown up.
Well, if you wanted to say that as long as we follow this statute, and we would be bringing it back to, it'd still have to be done in an ordinance, But I could see Dennis's point is that we could structure this in such a way that you could have the COLA with the understanding that we would have to bring it back to you when the increase was made to be effective, okay?
So it would be a
So we
process.
could, we could do it in that sense. I just would feel more comfortable that we go through this public hearing process.
I would move that we increase the per diem to $200 per meeting and add the cost of living that would be brought back on an annual basis for review with the 218 process in place.
Okay. It's just, yeah.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Yes, Director Sinella?
Boy, it is a tough one, because my initial thoughts is that I couldn't support an increase at this time, but having heard, and I didn't realize until we got this in our packet, that it's been 15 years. And I agree with Director Hernandez. I think the reason why it's been 15 years is because it's such a tough subject to talk about. But I think I could support the increase, the initial increase, but I just think if we're going to tack on between 1.5 and 3% on our, I know it has to come back to us, but if we're going to do that every year, it won't be long before we're above everybody. And I like kind of being more in the middle, maybe the upper 2/3 maybe, but I don't think we need to be the highest per diem after a few years of having this cost of living. So just my thoughts. I don't know if that will.
Thank you for your opinion.
And actually, that's why I added the annual return, so that if in fact a year from now or 2 years from now, we go, this sounded good in 15, but now we're catching, now we're 2.5 and 3 and 5, and then this year, let's not add it on. We would have that individual opportunity to not add anything. So, but it's in place so that if in 5 years of not adding anything on, we decide to, okay, let's add the 2% or whatever it happens to be that year, we would be able to do it without, in my opinion, again, not, and I appreciate Director Martin's correct perception, they're all gonna call it a raise, but in fact, it is a catch-up. So that's why I added it the way I did.
Thank you. I would like to say, this is difficult, but it's probably our most, we talk about it, how important it is that we take on the fiduciary responsibility of this position. And so I think it's only fair that we have to talk about it every year. And if I understood the statute correctly, the statute does allow us a COLA every year. So whether we put it in our ordinance or we don't, the statute allows us a COLA increase. And every year, we have to sit down and ask ourselves, in the relationship of where the district's at, what revenue's coming in, and I feel kind of nervous, because I know with the drought, our revenues are literally going down. I know with the reliability, our costs are gonna go up. So I don't feel particularly financially flush, even if the last 15 years we didn't get a raise. But I don't think we need to add it to this ordinance in order for that possibility to be there. What we do is, though, we have to suck up the courage to say, every year, we're going to address our public and say, we believe we do or do not deserve it. And so I'm just saying, I
understand thoroughly.
So I'm just like, kind of like, that.
All right.
But we can take a vote on it, or we can take further comments. Yes, Director.
So, just to understand it clearly, you're suggesting a $200 per diem and an escalator to be talked about every year. It'll show up on our agenda every year.
Right.
What's happened in the past is that hasn't happened.
Exactly.
It doesn't show up. It's the dirty little secret nobody wants to talk about.
We do this survey every year.
And politically, they're very, and I know the last 2 years, we've talked about it every year. So, but we haven't talked about that. We've talked about trying to catch up with 15 years of people being politically correct rather than what reality is. So I think Director Hernandez is bringing a bunch of reality into this, and the political correctness, I think people understand. I really do. I remember when, I'll tell you a little story if I may, when our city manager came up front page of the North County Times. He's making X amount of dollars, and it's really funny out of the people talking about it. I only had 2 or 3 people ask me about it, and I go, he's worth it. And they go, oh yeah, I guess so. How do you like your city? Oh, it's doing real well. Okay. I don't think people have a problem with it. I think political pundits might attack, but they're going to do that if you took a decrease. They say, well, they know they're not doing the job. So I mean, I think the pundits, be darned, you have to do what this position requires, not only for us, but for future people that will be taking this position. And if we don't correct it now, it never will be, because political correctness goes. So I think it's incumbent upon ourselves to make a stand on it.
Okay, any more comments? Then we have before us a motion and a second that we would raise the per diem to $200 per diem, and we would have a cost of living escalation clause.
Yes,
Yes.
you're
So
directing
we-
staff to bring that ordinance back to
And
you.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
And the motion is to
And-
direct staff to bring it
Yes,
forward
and-
with that.
and it-
So we're not voting on it?
You can vote on
Oh, yeah.
it, but it's not effective. You're just telling us to go do this and bring it back for your consideration at the next meeting. And we won't, on the cost of living increase, just so everybody understands, those of us that have been around a long time, and remember the 70s, we're held to, the most it can be is 5%. It can't
Oh,
exceed
yeah.
that. And, we all know that there was a time when 10% there was inflation.
We'll put that provision in the document.
But we can
Sure.
come back with that direction. If the board passes that motion, we can come back with the appropriate ordinance.
Okay, let me understand, we're gonna vote for the 200, but what if you feel more comfortable with less? Then you just say no to this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, just wanna make sure that was right. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote, if you don't mind.
Director Elethar?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Snella?
Yes.
Director Evans?
No,
Okay, thank you. We'll bring that back.
Thank you.
that was easy, well done, good presentation. Next item is reports.
Oh. I've got quite a list today. First, I'd like to thank you guys for the workshop last week. I thought that was great. I got some really good feedback from you guys on all the alternatives. As you can see, there's no silver bullet out there. There's no silver lining. There's a lot of little pieces, and they all touch each other. I spoke to the consultant. I'll be meeting with him tomorrow afternoon. James is on vacation, and Rob's out with the newborn, so Ken and I'll be meeting to come back at the first board meeting in March with the final 3 alternatives that the board wanted to look at, and then we'll verify on the fee as well, so if we're within scope. So anyway, thank you. That was a great workshop. The Water Authority, the MAM, the member agencies, managers, we all reached consensus last month on the decel and the new fixed service charge, how to allocate those costs. That only took a little over 3 years. So we finally got it done, and it was, I think it was unanimous with one begrudgingly going along. So that was great.
Wow.
So Director Evans will probably see that on the 26th with the recommendation. We're tackling our last one, which is allocation of treatment costs. We hope to have that done by March or April, so included in the budget. So we made some good progress on that finally. The Water Authority will be hearing, I believe, the contract for the desalinated water purchase on the 26th. We've been working with the Water Resources staff. They have a final. They're just trying to get some numbers in. Obviously, we couldn't get it to you today to approve it, so they're hoping to approve it on the 26th. I hope to have it back to you at one of the board meetings in March. Feeling pretty comfortable with the contract, with the provisions in there that give the board at some point in the future some options on buying more. So I think we've got it about as good as we can get it, so I think that'll be good for the district. Director Martin did have also the seats. We've got 5 of the 8 seats on the Chamber of Commerce committed. I'll pass it on again, staff. I don't think we had any takers, so there's 3 seats.
Is this for the city address?
Yes.
Did I say yes or no?
You said
Oh, I
yes.
thought I did, and then I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I've got you as Hernandez, Evans, no, that's a conference. Sorry, but I believe you did. So we do have 3 seats. If there's anybody else that you would like to invite or bring, let Diane know as soon as possible.
I will be there, but I won't be taking the seat, but I certainly can if there's one empty. But I'll be working the event, so.
You'll be working on If
You
we bring
did,
someone, do we pay back the district?
if you brought a spouse was the direction. If you took a spouse to it, then you would pay the district back.
Do you know what that amount is
$927.
per spouse?
Yeah.
If they
If you
only
got
have
two,
one.
then bring them both. I think the table was 500 for 8, so we can get you the number.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys do have the new badges. We passed those out. So you have those. You'll also notice as you come in now, we've done some things from a standpoint of security and safety. Part of what Jerome and those guys do is they look at security and safety of the employees. When this building was designed, it was pre a lot of bad things. You gotta remember, this was done almost 22 years ago in the design, and it was designed for the whole purpose of being open and airy. The worst part about the front room is the person that used to sit out there as a receptionist answering phones, completely isolated from every other staff member. We couldn't see them, we couldn't talk to them unless we happened to hear them scream. So the whole purpose of what we've been doing was modifying. You'll see a new touchpad on the elevator. There's a new door in the hallway. Those have touchpads. So probably within about another week, the wiring will be completed. So you already have your fobs. There will also be a touch code key that we will give you the key to. So if you come over, we're doing that basically security because the rest of the building upstairs is not secure. Anybody could walk in, come up the stairs, ride the elevator, wander around the building all they wanted. These doors will be locked unless there's a board meeting or a public event. The other two entry points, we didn't have as much concern with engineering because it's always staffed and there's a lot of people. We're going through some other improvements. We're just finishing the design for the customer service end because of the fact that they get irate people, plus they deal with money. So we're going through that right now for some security upgrades. So you'll be getting a little more information on that as soon as we get it completed. But we're moving forward on that. So that's a new badge, and I think you all have your fobs already.
Just and I don't even know if it's appropriate to answer this, so I'll let you decide if it is or not, but for the front desk and for the customer service desk, will there be duress buttons installed?
You know, we've gone through that. This came up with some of the short answer, dial 911 is the direction we got from bringing in law enforcement and everything else associated with it. I won't get into the details here in the public event, but there's a lot of things that go through your mind in an emergency, and figuring out where that red button is not the top of the choice. We will be doing the security because of that over in this end of the building, so when we redo the customer counter, it actually will be full glass with the security door going in and out where they can't get access.
So how about this position out here?
That position is moved over to.
Oh, I see.
That's why we're
So
doing
it'll be
part of.
behind that secure-
Yes, yeah. There is an area where they can reach. We still want to make it customer friendly. We're not making it look like one of the pay places where you go cash a check and you got to go through armored doors, but that's part of what our upgrade is.
Yes,
Did I understand though, at customer service, they're gonna put some kind of a
Glass front.
plexiglass or
Yes, sir.
something?
Yeah, yeah. We're trying to keep it to a minimum to keep it looking like it's inviting to come in, but
Yeah, it's tough to do.
it's tough to do. It's just really tough to do, and with the way things have changed, you gotta,
Just as a, did you happen to survey the staff about their opinion of
Oh, yeah.
that?
oh, yeah,
And they felt
Oh,
much
yeah.
better about it?
oh, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I'm just an old goat.
Yes.
I have a question concerning the bobs.
Mhm.
Not that I come here this often, but what I would probably do with the bob is put it on this. And if I put it on this, when I go to stick it in the thing.
Do it
we
slowly.
Can we get a second bob? Because how do I reach to do the car thing and do this thing?
Is one of these a bob?
Oh, no, this is what I wanted right here.
So you guys have the little
Right
black fob?
here.
blue
Mr.
fob.
Mr. Yep, talk Diane into one.
We have one of those?
I believe you all have one.
I don't think
I must have one in my car.
I don't
Yeah.
think I got one.
But
Okay.
it's not the little doodad.
We will make sure you have
Yeah,
a
the little
fob.
black thing.
You will make sure you have a fob.
Yeah, okay.
Just,
I think it's the little pull-out thing that
We
we're
can get you
asking
those.
for, isn't it? Or is it the fob?
No, he's asking for
Come
more.
on.
We'll make sure you get one.
A
$10,
fob?
I got one. $10.
If I could just add too, just from an OPSEC point of view, you probably shouldn't put your fob attached to your badge because it's like putting your room number on your hotel key.
Yeah.
I always do that.
Good to know.
It still hasn't worked.
You never know. You never know.
Pass on that.
We actually posted on the bulletin board, but it keeps coming back.
Go anywhere else but that place.
Well, thank you, Mike, you're right. You're right.
So you'll see some continued changes and upgrades, and that goes to, Director Martin did call me the other day, and he got the machine again, because, I think you've seen, we've gone through a lot of hiring, so we're actually down one person right now, that is the receptionist. So the customer service people have been answering phones as well. But just to give you an idea, and this is part of some of what Director Snell said on metrics, just to give you a ballpark idea, in the last 10 days, 2,124 phone calls came into customer service.
Wow.
Yeah, 2,124.
Are we hiring?
We're going to background check right now. We hope to have the person hired in about 2 weeks. Out of those 2,000 plus calls, 1,100 were answered directly by customer service. 900 and something were answered by all the operators are busy, press one. So out of that 2,000, 1,100 were collected directly. 900 went from the press one to the customer service. 75, wrong number, they hung up. And then 41 of them actually pushed the one to where they leave their contact information and ask for a call back. So we're going through the process, but a lot of it right now is literally we're just down a person. So when we do the upgrade, there'll actually be 3 people on the counter there doing customer service, answering the phones and divvying them up. That doesn't even include all the phone calls that went to engineering, internal calls, or anything else, which is probably another 30%. But we get a tremendous amount of phone calls. Just to do that.
Thank you.
Finance.
Thank you, I don't think we were aware how many
Of
calls
the
we got
numbers,
on
I saw the
first call.
percentage, but the percentage.
Yeah, we've just been showing percentage, but
Doesn't
that's
show me
only,
how many.
that's only the water calls.
And we're only seeing the water.
Remember, those are only the
so-
water calls. This
Yeah,
is
I think-
total calls. So that'll give you a ballpark idea.
I think that's very impressive.
Before you
Yes.
continue, Dan,
Yes?
do we have a direct number to either go, instead of dialing the 4060 central?
Yeah, I'm gonna have
phone,
Diane send you my
460?
direct number so you can actually call me,
But can
Kevin,
I call
James.
directly to engineering and/or
Yeah.
with, okay.
Yeah, I can tell you how.
Without going to, no, without going to the buttons and all that shit. Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
You have to have a special,
And I know, I need the
You
file.
cannot speak directly to anyone, John.
I know.
I'll give you their numbers, but not mine.
You can see who's calling.
Yeah, we can see who's calling. We don't have to pick up.
Yeah.
So that's part of the,
Automation, now I get it.
that's part of this change where you notice we have
Oh,
a sign
man,
out
you guys are
front.
cool.
And this is stuff that Jerome has been bugging me on for years to do because of, as you say, Director Snell, Director Martin, Miranda's, the people in customer service are very concerned at times. They deal with a lot of money and on occasion, very irate people. So that's the best thing we can do there. The Finance Committee, historically, when we've had Finance Committee, Engineering Committee, Personnel Committee, we've held them in the upstairs executive conference room. So I just want to see if the board is good with that. Do we want to move a camera and record it? Diane is in there because she has to take minutes because this is in fact a public meeting. It's public notice, it's on the web, it's posted everywhere. It's no different, or do you guys want to have it in here? Your preference?
Yes, Director Martin, Central Finance Committee.
my suggestion would be that we have continued, they're a committee meeting, so I don't think that's appropriate for television, it's not necessary.
I just.
In my opinion.
Yeah, we haven't had one in several years, so we used to do them upstairs.
Yeah.
If you're fine with that,
Makes more
I'm fine
sense.
with that. Okay, we'll do
Conference
that.
room
community
environment
meeting.
certainly makes sense for that kind of
Yeah,
meeting.
no decisions being made.
Yeah, you can make a direction, which the direction just comes back to the full board.
Right.
Our
The direction is
recommendation.
to do it at the executive
Perfect.
conference room.
Perfect.
And you're not concerned about having a camera on board?
No, no.
Okay.
Thank you. Is that all right? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Would it be cheaper just to arm the staff as opposed to put up that thing?
They already do
No.
that. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, they already do that.
No.
You know, that would
already-
slow down those.
I'm already behind a locked door most of the day. I haven't forgot about your request, Director Hernandez, to go back and look about the committee meeting. It's on a list of things to look at. You have the, I think that's on the agenda. Change of meeting, okay, I'll get to that. Then Chris did send you the Equinox study, a link to the Equinox study,
Yep.
along with the specific data to Vallecitos. The region is up, Vallecitos was 5 something down.
5 gallons then.
It's not down, so that we continue to get the word out. Chris has got the new people on board, helping them with getting additional outreach out there, and we're looking at all kinds of ways to do it. But the public is responding well, so what we've asked for so far. That Equinox study is usually very biased, So take it with a grain of salt for what it's at, and keep in mind that gallons per day per capita is a really tough metric to go by. If you want to compare us to Valley Center. Okay, Valley Center's residential lot might be 14 acres. So when you look at that water demand with 3.2 people per acre, it's greatly skewed. And that's why you go to San Francisco and they're 52 gallons per day per person. So just keep that in mind. The conservation staff's doing a great job and the public's listening very well to what we're asking them. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal counsel.
Take one and pass it on. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but one of the, I think, valuable things that going to conferences allows is that you inevitably come away with something that's worthwhile whenever you go to conferences. And last month, I attended the attorneys' meeting at the CASA conference. And among other items that were brought up was the fact that more and more cities and other special districts are mandating that their elected officials attend this harassment training, SB 1825 training. Now, technically, under the law, it's for employers have over 50 employees. And it is, normally it's for managers and supervisors is what it's mandated. But we're seeing more and more of this requirement from their cities, or City of Hayward, for example, the other day mandated that their public officials do it. So it's actually, I think, a good thing, and I would encourage you to consider it. SDRMA, I just passed out a couple of things. It's got some webinars coming up, one in June that looks like a nice one for this kind of training. It's also, there's a program coming in August about district board members, or district liability board members, that I would also invite your attention to. And it's a good, these are good programs. They're not too expensive, and they're easier to access.
Yes.
Hey Jeff, just out of curiosity, if, I work for a larger employer, so I go through this every year as a manager, so would my certificate of training suffice?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it would.
They also.
This is oriented, the thing about SDRMA is sort of orients it towards the public sector, but it's basically, harassment training, so.
Prevention.
And prevention, okay, but yes.
Harassment training.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
they
to get away
offer
with
it
it.
through the Water Authority too.
Yeah.
They had the class.
And I think, they're trying to encourage everybody, it doesn't hurt, so.
And these
throw it
are
out there.
webinars?
Yeah.
CASA and Aqua also offer.
So,
Don't they offer this at some of the conferences we go to as a
yeah,
class segment?
yeah, they do, and I'm just throwing this out because I happen to come across it,
Yeah.
but I do know at the attorneys conference, one of the attorneys spoke and said, hey, we're looking at it from a legal perspective, that maybe there's some interpretations that could require public officials to have to do this. So rather, we were trying to get a head start on it rather than necessarily being behind the ball, so.
Great.
Was that
Okay, that's
anything
all,
else?
thank you.
There's nothing for San Diego County Water Authority that actually Dennis has not already spoken about. There's a meeting on the 26th. And there was an engineer and I think it was the NO meeting that was about the San Vicente Dam, used it as a storage, but I had a migraine that day. I didn't make it. Would have been fun, but I'm not on that committee. So I will report back to you the following meeting. And in Encina, and just for my clarification, which one of you gentlemen is capital improvement? Okay, so Jim, you're first.
Yes.
And then
Well, we have
Director Ellie.
not had a meeting since December 10th, so this was a big meeting. Had a lot to do. We established some dates for the full year for our capital improvement meetings. The morning of that third Wednesday, so that was fresh this morning. Continue with our plan improvement, modernization, that's 98% completed. The alternate fuel, the fog, fat, oil, and grease, is coming along. That'll be up and commercially operating in March. And so that's a big step. The other big step is the pyrolysis pilot facility, which, if you remember, if not, that is a joint venture with Allergia, I think is the name of the company, something close to that. And they're putting up all of the funds and the work to get it accomplished. We're doing staff time for our portion, so it's like an 80-20 position. The process is to take our bio-solid pellets, condense them further, save the energy, get the oil, which is going to then be used for our cogeneration, reduce our energy purchases from SDG&E. So, and that actually was talked about at the last conference. We're on the cutting edge at Encina. So that's a big deal. But the surprise big deal at the end was they're doing a strategy program, much like we are. And what do you think they're going to be looking at? Recycled water, indirect potable, and storage. So, and I just happened to ask at the beginning, because I know we were talking about it, and I said, well, one of the things that Vallecitos is wondering about is what could happen at Encina. And that's when Michael, Kevin wasn't there today, but Michael said, gee, you hit it right on the head, we're going to be talking about it at the end. So they're starting the strategic review at Encina, which will help us in our discussions as to what ifs and what could be. So that was very beneficial. So very exciting meeting and good things coming our way.
Thank you. Director Hernandez, that was very informative, and Director Alifar.
Yeah, I attended my first Policy and Finance Committee meeting on February 10th. We established the Policy and Finance Committee meeting dates for the calendar year for 2015. And kind of going along with what Director Hernandez said, Kevin Hardy was at that meeting and did a presentation on regional water reliability and risk. So it sounds like
Same
kind of
must have been.
So that was very informative, and he kind of tied it back to the 2020 business plan that was adopted, I think, back in November by the full board at Encina. The other thing we did, we had a closed session on labor negotiations because the labor contract is expiring June 30th. So we initiated that process. That's all I've got.
Excellent, thank you very much. And are there any other reports on travel, conferences, or seminars? Yes.
Yesterday I attended Kawa breakfast with Tom, and there was the presenter, I forget his name, but he's the captain for U.S. Navy who is responsible for the Navy's water and water-related facilities in the Southwest region. Just a couple of interesting tidbits that he brought up. I think that you guys might be interested in is in the last 2 to 3 years, they've implemented a lot of conservation awareness, some smart meters, and also just kind of more efficient systems, and they're saving over 1 billion gallons per year now. And then the other thing, you kind of brought up an interesting point, because the conservation awareness piece is really a challenge for them, because all the troops in the Navy, they don't pay for their water. So when they're on ship, they understand, hey, it's a limited resource. But he said once they get home, it's long showers because they miss it, right? And they don't pay for it out of their own pocket. So it's kind of an interesting challenge that not everybody has to face. But despite all that, their efforts are proving to be very positive.
Very good. Oh, interesting. Any others? Yes, Director Martin.
I have one on the 10th of this month. I attended the Aqua 10 regional meeting, which they had in Carlsbad, and that's where the group from Orange and San Diego County were joined. Very interesting. The chair is Pierce Swan, and I always thought his name was Pierce Swan. I didn't realize it's Pierre Swan. So he was very entertaining, a very social type person, and he brought 4 bottles of wine. I don't drink. I don't drink, but everyone else had a good time. I just sat there and watched and went, oh, I can learn a lot. Many things concerning Region 10, which are going to be coming up at the conference, were discussed. But one thing that I did manage to, he caught me on the way in the parking lot. If you ever talk to him, he can talk at great length. And he certainly did about Irvine Ranch, which is where he's been for many years. and what we were talking about, there's so many different ways of billing people for water. And the one they have is the most expensive to get into, my understanding is, and I know I've talked to our general manager about it in the past, it's expensive, but it seems to work pretty well. But it's very expensive to get started, 'cause it's based, the fees are based on square footage of yard, how many trees you have, I mean, very detailed. But
Budget-based.
budget-based. But they've done it for years, and yeah, it still has hiccups here and there, but basically it seems to be the fairest way, but it's just very expensive. So it shut me down from talking about that in the future, because when I heard it was that expensive, I went, yeah, okay, well, I'm ready for that. I thought of Tom. I thought of Tom rolling over in his office, going, no! But interesting, and we'll see them all at conference, and they asked me about a couple of positions, and I said, no, just not at this time, so, but they're moving along. Joe McKenzie's part of that group as well, as, there's actually two people from Vista there. One of the other gentlemen was there, too.
Richard Vasquez. Richard Vasquez.
Yeah, why does Vista have two representatives, I guess?
Couldn't get anybody else.
I don't know.
Nominations.
No nominations.
I don't know. I meant to ask Joe McKenzie that, and I didn't, so I just,
It was a hard
there's
time.
two people from Vista on that, so. it was
Could have been an
interesting.
alternate too, and he just came with her.
Oh, could have
That
been.
could very well be. Do they have two seats?
No,
Oh,
he's
they
on
have two
board.
seats.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
That was your first Region 10 meeting, wasn't it? Ben?
Yes, yeah, other than that conference where they're just voting.
With
on
the
things.
conference, but I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't really get to attend, that's
Yeah,
nice to hear.
this was, yeah, I did,
Oh.
right. Yeah, this
Yeah.
was very, very interesting, and a lot of good connections. And I think that Pierre is gonna be a very interesting person to get information from and dilute some of the other stuff from it, but I think basically it's probably some good information.
Great. Thank you very much, Director. Okay, where are we now? Oh, we're on
4.1.
other business?
Yes, 4.1. The Urban Water Institute Spring Conference is March 4th through March 6th. Currently, we have Directors Hernandez, Evans, and Martin signed up to go to that. That is our board meeting on the 4th. So we need to have consideration of picking an alternate day for the board meeting.
I would,
Do you have a recommendation?
If the board can do it, the only other conflicts I see from what I'm aware of, I have a task force down at the Water Authority, EWMAM, that day, but the afternoon's clear and there's no other meetings that any of you guys I can see are assigned to as far as committees or anything else. I would like to suggest the 3rd.
The 3rd at 4?
Yes.
Will that work?
where's the UWI? Is that Monterey, San Francisco?
Hilton, Palm Springs.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Do we have any conflicts with that, Diane?
No, only if I had to drive someplace, like,
So, okay.
but I don't.
March 3rd.
March 3rd, if that works for the board, we'll move the agenda.
I
We'll move it.
believe it does, yes?
Actually, just one comment, the only, actually, we won't, the possibility that we would have one board member on consent, Mr. Hammond, if you were wanting to go to the Aqua Legislative Symposium, depending on the time of that, on the fourth, we may need to fly up.
Yeah.
So it could be tight for you.
So we just may be minus.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go for the 3rd, thank you.
All right, the 3rd at, March 3rd on 4 p.m.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and the second one, the Casa Public Forum. I lost the paperwork on it. Is
So
that-
I have one question
Yeah, oh, yes,
before we
Mr.
move
Martin.
away. I'm sorry, it's on another. We're looking at having a finance committee meeting. I was wondering if staff had come up. There was my request, and I understand Director Sanella's request, that perhaps we have them at the same time we have our board meetings, because we both do work. You had suggested an 8 o'clock and a 3 o'clock or a 2 o'clock or something. I didn't get an email today yet. I will have.
You do have one.
Sorry.
I did send out that.
Yeah, the
25th at 4.
2054.
I'm
I would ask you, the finance committee, and hopefully we can do it quickly and far enough advance, when you actually establish the time for the interviews, you take into consideration that all the other people here that will be coming in for the interviews, you can allow an hour each, so if you didn't start till late, you can have people here till 10 o'clock. So I would suggest, if at all possible, we start those at noon or 1.
We can talk about that. during
Yeah, I
the
think
meeting.
you should talk about that at the meeting, just if you want to think
Sure.
about that ahead of time for your schedules.
Sure,
So
yeah,
Sunday
that makes
morning
sense.
doesn't work?
That makes sense.
What's that?
Sunday morning doesn't work?
Doesn't bother me.
See a dedicated.
I'm up
day.
at 5, so anytime you guys want.
Yeah, next week.
Okay, thank you, we'll talk, you guys can discuss that at the committee meeting.
It's just gonna be one of the finance
Right.
stuff.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. The one you were talking about, Director Evans, is the
Yes.
CASA Public Policy Forum, April 27th to 28th, up in Sac. So if anybody wants to attend that, let Diane know as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let Diane know.
That's the one in April?
That's the one in April.
April 27th and 28th.
Yeah, I'd try and go with him. I think I'm on the list though.
So you just let Diane know. That would be great. Okay, and then, are there any director comments for future agenda items? Or just comments? Yes, Director.
I have
Sewell.
a few things, so if you could just bear with me. So I know that now that we're an active partner with the SD North EDC, they have a monthly meeting, and also they have a couple of their bigger events like the summit coming up and then their end of the year. Is it possible to add them, and maybe I can get you a calendar? Can we add them to this sheet so all the board members can see and maybe they want to attend some of those?
Sure.
Okay. Would it help if I didn't get you a calendar or from them, of their events?
For the meeting?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And then on kind of the same note of that, and this is perhaps a little uncharted territory because one of the clauses, I guess, in the motion that was made a couple meetings ago with regards to how we're going to spend that $5,000 would come back for board comment. And so I don't know if we can vote on it tonight, but they do have their one of two major events coming up in March 10th, which is their economic summit. And if the board is wanting to purchase a table for that event to take it off of the money that we're committed to spending, then
Bring it back. Go ahead.
that's something we probably need to let them know sooner than later because
Right.
March 10th is right around the corner.
It is, but I think we do need to bring that back.
Yeah, I'll have to
On an
bring that
agenda
back because it's not on the agenda to
discussion.
take action on.
Um,
We could bring it back,
Well,
Bring it back to third.
bring it back on the 3rd.
So the funds are already approved, that we're gonna spend the $5,000. This is just how we're gonna spend it. Does it still need to come back?
Yeah, it should, because it should be on the agenda. I mean, I think that was the intent when you passed the motion, was to be able for you to just have the discretion to determine how you were gonna do it, if I recall, Director Martin.
Yes.
Could we let them know that we're going to be
Sure.
discussing
Oh,
this on the
absolutely.
3rd?
Yeah.
So
You
that,
can, you can direct me
we
to put it on the agenda and just let them know
Yeah,
what we're talking
reserve
about.
the table or
Yeah,
whatever,
doesn't-
ratify, I don't even
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but, so that they're not, they have
Right.
more than 7 days
Yeah,
a
I
week.
mean, I just.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
So,
I'm- yeah, we can do that.
and it's so, okay, so yeah, if we can get that on the next agenda, that'd be great. And hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine it being more than a 10 or 15-minute conversation, kind of, yes or no.
Do we get in the front row in gold chairs now that we're new members or anything?
I have no idea.
Another fob.
But I will say to that point, Director Martin, that because you also asked for me to give a little bit of a briefing from time to time on how things are going, and why we have been sitting up here right about 4 o'clock-ish. They did send out the first email of their email blast. It's called the Pulse, and they're doing a 3-part series specifically on Vallecitos Water District. That first one was sent out, like I said, right about the time we started today. So the next couple of weeks will be showcased as well. And I want to thank Dennis and his team who have been working with them to give them the content and some of the information to publish in that 3-part series that they're doing specifically on our water district, which I think is a good thing. And I also want to add that since that meeting, the leadership of that organization has reached out to me and have pledged to me that they understand how it was a sensitive item for the board to discuss, and that they are going to bend over backwards to make it a valuable partnership that hopefully we will all see as being worthwhile. So, and to that same note, and we can talk about this when it comes up on the next board meeting when we talk about it, but it's not only for their table, I think it's $1,500, But they also said that if we do a table, and kind of their sign of goodwill, they'll also give us a booth with that as well. So we can have our board members and staff attend, but also we could have our public relations folks actually set up a booth, which is normally like a $500 cost, and they're including that. So I think that that's just a sign that they really want this to be a positive partnership for us that proves to be valuable for our customers.
I just have one question, and so the Pulse,
Mhm.
who does that go to? I mean, well,
It goes, I think if I remember from the presentations, it goes to approximately 5,000 people within North County. And let me get the exact name for it. It's called the Pulse of North County.
I would suggest it come through email, but I would suggest that we give them all of our emails.
Yes.
I do get it, but I didn't used to, so I don't know how they
Yeah,
figure it
yeah,
out.
they're, sending emails is free, so I think if they can expand their.
Yeah, we just need to tell them.
Yep, we just gotta give it to them, that's right.
If we do a table, we have to send it to them.
pardon?
I think.
Number
somebody-
2.
I don't know if it's an inside joke, but I think somebody from that part of the dais should be there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
No, Tom's joke is in this business, he's, as an AGM, he's number 2.
Oh, one more.
Yeah.
One more.
And then I was hoping Chris would stick around, but he left, but I just have been very impressed. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, so I'll let you know if you have it. We've had so much activity on our Facebook and Twitter accounts recently that it could be purely coincidence, but I think that we're starting a competition with Olivia Hain, and now we're the gold standard, because I've noticed an increased activity from them now on Facebook trying to match us. So maybe it could be completely coincidental, I don't know.
You have no
but-
idea the relationship between Kim and I.
There might be
it's
some
combative.
competition there, but I will say that the Facebook post, especially as it pertained to the one incident where there was a hit and run that took out one of our fire hydrants, but they left their bumper with the license plate on it.
Right.
It was really well-written in kind of a witty way, and I think that some of the responses, I think one responder out in the community said, I really like it when utilities add some humor to their messages, so I think we're starting to see some positive.
That's what we've seen, is if we put normal stuff in normal way and everything else, it really doesn't sell.
Yep.
Even
That's right.
Kevin's found that in scene as well. He can put all the stuff he wants on there about it, and he'll have some kid post a video going down the beach, filming it, wipe out and say, but this is where,
Yeah.
and he gets 1 million hits. So it's really funny what.
And I
sells.
spelled utility correctly when I wrote that, so.
Very good.
Anyways, kudos to
Good.
the
I'll pass it
PR
on.
team.
Yeah,
I'll
I
pass
did
it
see
on.
that was excellent. Is that now where Lisa is spending her time on the
Yeah, she's
Yes,
focusing
she's
on
predominantly just focusing on.
social media and-
Social media.
social media? Remember that was the division. Well,
And then Chris
excellent.
has to put up with me.
Any more comments or not?
No, I'm done.
Thank you for a lovely meeting, I appreciate it, and,
We have no need for the closed session.
oh,
Sorry.
we have no closed session
Yeah.
because we don't need it, and I didn't want to listen
Oh,
anyway.
really?
So I'm
I gotta
sorry.
close the meeting.
It was no needed, and I closed it.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
All right, great.